beneath the radiant golden sun of ancient Egypt, where the Nile River flows gently through the desert like a lifeline. I warmly welcome everyone to a tale filled with wonder and mystery. A heartfelt hello to all. I hope you're ready to join me on a journey to a time long past, where the air carries the scent of lotus flowers and the distant sound of temple chants echoes through the warm breeze. Close your eyes and let the trickling sound of the Nile's waters, the soft rustling of papyrus reeds, and the warm glow of the setting sun wrap around you like a comforting embrace. You're standing on the banks of the Nile, the pyramids rising in the distance, their stone surfaces glowing in the fading light. But in the whispers of the wind, you hear tales of a man whose brilliance shaped an empire, a man named Imhotep, whose creations and secrets have endured through the ages. This story will be long, filled with details to paint a vivid picture, but gentle enough to guide you into a peaceful slumber, where dreams of ancient Egypt, sacred artifacts, and the wisdom of the gods will softly cradle you. Let's begin this journey as the stars of the Egyptian night sky start to twinkle above. Our journey begins in the ancient city of Memphis around 2650 BCE during the third dynasty of Egypt's Old Kingdom. The Nile River flows steadily through the land, its waters shimmering under the midday sun, nourishing fields of barley and emmer wheat that stretch along its banks. Farmers work in the fields, their hands stained with the rich, dark soil, their laughter mingling with the calls of ibis birds soaring overhead. They wear simple linen tunics, with cloths wrapped around their heads to shield them from the sun, and occasionally they pause, wiping sweat from their brows, gazing at the river with grateful eyes, for they know the Nile is the lifeblood of this land. In the distance, the city of Memphis buzzes with life. Narrow streets paved with limestone echo with the footsteps of its people, the calls of merchants, and the laughter of children. In the main marketplace, colorful stalls are set up, shaded by linen canopies to escape the harsh sun. A middle-aged woman, her black hair tied back with a red cloth, stands at her stall, calling out to passers-by. Come, taste the sweetest dates from Upper Egypt. Beside her, an elderly man with a short beard and calloused hands displays clay jars filled with golden honey, its sweet aroma wafting through the air, attracting small bees that buzz around his stall. A group of children, barefoot and clad in short linen tunics, run through the market, clutching barley bread in their hands, laughing and playing, their eyes sparkling with the joy of childhood. At the heart of Memphis stands the royal palace of Pharaoh Djoser, a sprawling structure of mud brick and limestone, its tall columns carved with lotus motifs, the symbol of rebirth. The palace walls are adorned with intricate reliefs depicting protective gods like Horus with his falcon wings, Anubis with his jackal head, and Ra with a radiant sun disk above him. Long corridors within the palace are paved with polished marble, sunlight streaming through tall windows, casting shimmering patterns on the floor. Hand-woven tapestries in vibrant colors line the pathways, adorned with motifs of falcons and suns, as if narrating ancient tales of eternity and divine power. In the grand hall of the palace, Pharaoh Djoser often sits on a throne of polished ebony, inlaid with pearls and gold, wearing a double crown of blue and red symbolizing the unity of Lower and Upper Egypt. He is a king of great authority, his sharp eyes softened by a contemplative gaze, always seeking ways to ensure the prosperity of his kingdom. Djoser is tall, with sun-bronzed skin and a neatly trimmed beard. He wears a pristine white linen robe, a golden pectoral engraved with the image of Ra across his chest, and in his hand, he holds a curved scepter, the symbol of supreme power. Beside him, his courtiers stand in a line, their eyes lowered in reverence, but among them, one man stands out: Imhotep, the vizier, chief architect, and high priest of Ptah, the god of creation and craftsmanship. Imhotep is not a tall or imposing man, but his eyes shine with wisdom, and his voice, though gentle, carries a strange power of persuasion. He often wears a pristine white linen robe, a golden pectoral engraved with a scarab, the symbol of rebirth, across his chest, and in his hand, he holds a papyrus scroll where he records his ideas and plans. His black hair is shaved clean, as per the custom of priests, and on his forehead, he wears a white cloth band with a small turquoise stone at its center, glimmering like the eye of Horus. The people of Memphis whisper about him, calling him the one who sees the light of the gods, for he is not only an architect but also a physician, an astronomer, and a poet, capable of healing both body and soul. Each morning, Imhotep leaves his modest home near the Nile River, where he lives simply with his gentle wife, Merit, and their two young children, a boy named Ankh and a girl named Nefert. His house is made of mud brick, its walls painted white, with a roof of dried palm fronds. Outside, a small garden blooms, with lotus flowers and pomegranate trees, where little birds often perch on the branches, their chirping a soft melody. A narrow path leads from the house to the riverbank, where the water ripples gently, reflecting the sunlight like a shimmering ribbon. Merit is a woman with a kind face, warm brown eyes, and long black hair tied back with a green cloth. She rises early to prepare breakfast for the family, baking fragrant barley bread and setting out a plate of dates and goat cheese. Ankh, their 8-year-old son, has his father's face, with bright eyes and a mischievous smile. He often runs to the river to catch fish, holding a small net, shouting with excitement whenever he catches a tiny fish that glitters in the sunlight. Nefert, their 5-year-old daughter, prefers to sit by her mother, playing with strips of linen and singing songs Merit taught her. Her voice is clear as a little bell. Imhotep steps out of the house as the first rays of sunlight touch the Nile, making the water sparkle like scattered gold. He walks along the riverbank, his gaze fixed on the horizon, where the sun rises, painting the sky in vibrant shades of gold and orange. He pauses by a tall patch of papyrus, plucking a reed and feeling its softness between his fingers. He whispers a short prayer to Hapi, the god of the Nile, thanking him for bringing life to this land. Then he continues walking, his bare feet touching the cool earth, feeling a great purpose awaiting him. A purpose that will forever change the face of Egypt. One evening, in the dim glow of torches hanging on the palace walls, Pharaoh Djoser summons Imhotep to the grand hall. The king sits on his throne, his expression contemplative, and he speaks in a low voice. Imhotep, I wish to build an eternal tomb, a place not only to protect my soul after death, but also to symbolize my power before the gods. I want it to be different, not like the flat mastabas my ancestors built. Can you do this? Imhotep bows, his eyes shining with determination, and replies, My lord, I will create a monument that the entire world will marvel at, a step pyramid, where your soul will ascend closer to the god Ra. Imhotep begins his work immediately, gathering the finest stone masons from across Egypt. He travels to Saqqara, not far from Memphis, and selects a vast area for the construction. Under the scorching sun, thousands of workers toil tirelessly, their bodies glistening with sweat as they haul massive limestone blocks from nearby quarries. Donkeys carry loads of earth and sand, their brays mingling with the sound of hammers striking stone, creating a symphony of labor. Imhotep often stands on a high mound, a papyrus scroll in hand, his eyes observing every detail, every block being set into place. He designs the pyramid with 6 steps, each one smaller as it ascends, like a staircase leading Djoser's soul to the heavens, to the sun god Ra. Each day, Imhotep walks through the worksite, his feet leaving prints in the sand, and he stops by each group of workers, listening to their stories. An old mason, with a white beard and calloused hands, tells Imhotep about his family in Upper Egypt, where his 3 children await his return. A young worker, with a radiant smile and bright eyes, shares his dream of one day becoming an architect like Imhotep. Imhotep smiles, placing a hand on the young man's shoulder, and says, If you believe in your dream, Ta will guide your path. The project spans many years, and each day, Imhotep is at the site, sometimes working late into the night under the flickering light of torches. He is not only an architect, but also a teacher, instructing the workers on precise measurements, how to stack stones for durability, and how to create secret chambers within the pyramid to protect Djoser's treasures. He designs a complex system of corridors inside the pyramid, with narrow passages and hidden rooms, where he places clay jars filled with fragrant oils, small statues of Anubis, and papyrus scrolls inscribed with hymns to guide Djoser's soul through the afterlife. Each evening, as the sun sets, Imhotep sits on a large stone near the worksite, watching the pyramid take shape. The sunset bathes Saqqara in golden light, and he feels the presence of Ta, as if the god is smiling upon him, blessing this endeavor. He often takes a small papyrus scroll from his robe and writes short poems, praising the beauty of Egypt and the eternity of the gods. One of his poems, later found carved on a small stone by archaeologists, reads, "Beneath the sun of Ra, I build a staircase to the sky, so Djoser's soul may endure forever beside the eternal gods." When the pyramid is complete, it stands majestically in the desert, over 60 meters tall, its limestone steps gleaming under the sun, a man-made mountain rising from the flat landscape. The people of Egypt call it Djoser's Step Pyramid, and they believe it is a gift Imhotep offered to the gods, a symbol of immortality. On the day of its dedication, Djoser stands before the pyramid, his eyes filled with pride, and he says to Imhotep, "You have created a marvel, Imhotep. My soul will be protected forever, and your name will live on in Egypt's history." Imhotep bows, but in his heart, he knows this monument is more than a tomb. It is a testament to the power of human intellect and the connection between the mortal world and the divine. But Imhotep's work does not end with the pyramid. He is also a man deeply connected to the spiritual world, believing that the power of the gods can be preserved in sacred artifacts. One night, as a full moon bathes Saqqara in silvery light, making the pyramid shimmer like a mountain of silver, Imhotep sits in a small chamber within the pyramid complex. Before him is a stone altar, upon which rests an amulet he crafted himself, a golden amulet shaped like the eye of Horus, with a turquoise gem at its center, gleaming like the night sky. Imhotep spent months creating this amulet, working by the faint glow of oil lamps. He used gold from the mines of Nubia, where he once oversaw excavations, and the turquoise was sourced from the Sinai Mountains, where he prayed to Hathor, the goddess of beauty and protection. He etched secret symbols onto the amulet's surface, symbols he believed would connect the object to the power of Ta. Each night, he sat before the altar, his hands resting on the amulet, praying to Ta to bless it so it could protect Djoser's soul on its journey to the afterlife. In a small ceremony, attended only by Imhotep and a few trusted priests, he places the amulet on the altar and burns a small amount of myrrh, letting its sweet fragrance fill the chamber. He recites an ancient hymn, his voice soft but resonant. "O Ta, creator of all things, bless this artifact, that it may be a guiding light for Djoser's soul, shielding him from the darkness of the underworld." As he finishes the hymn, a gentle breeze sweeps through the chamber, making the altar flame flicker, and the turquoise gem on the amulet glows with an eerie light, as if Ta has heard his prayer. But the amulet is more than a protective charm. The people of Memphis whisper that Imhotep inscribed secret symbols on its surface, symbols only he and the gods could understand. They believe the amulet can grant its possessor wisdom beyond human limits, but it also carries a curse. Anyone not chosen who tries to harness its power will face the wrath of Horus, whose eye will watch and punish the intruder. Some say that on full moon nights, the amulet's light can illuminate the entire chamber, and those who gaze into it may see visions of the future. But if their hearts are not pure, the light will blind them, and their minds will be lost in eternal darkness. Imhotep keeps the amulet's existence a secret, revealing it only to one person, a young priest named Kamwasit, whom he considers a student and a son. Kamwasit is a tall, slender young man with bright eyes and glossy black hair, always wearing a white linen robe with a pectoral engraved with the image of Thoth, the god of wisdom. He has a gentle face with a warm smile, and his voice is soft, as if he's telling a bedtime story. Imhotep leads Kamwasit to a secret chamber within the pyramid, where the amulet is kept in a limestone box, sealed with a scarab-shaped lock. He speaks in a low voice. "Kamwasit, this amulet is a gift from Ta. but also a burden. Only those with a pure heart can touch it. If I leave this world, you must protect it, for its power could change the fate of all Egypt. Imhotep bows, his hands trembling as he touches the limestone box. He feels a strange energy emanating from the amulet, as if it's whispering to him, speaking of the god's secrets. He looks at Imhotep, his eyes filled with reverence, and says, "Master, I will protect this amulet, even if it costs me my life." Imhotep smiles, placing a hand on his student's shoulder, and says, "I trust you, Imhotep. But remember, its true power lies not in possessing it, but in understanding it. One day, you will grasp its true meaning." Imhotep is not only a vizier, an architect, or a priest. He is also a husband, a father, and a man who lives with a heart full of love for his family. Each morning, as the first rays of sunlight touch the water, Imhotep rises early, sitting on a small wooden chair by the window, looking out at the river. He holds a small papyrus scroll and writes short lines, recording his thoughts about the stars, the gods, and new ideas for his projects. He writes with black ink made from charcoal and water, using a reed pen he carved himself, his strokes elegant and precise, as if each line holds a piece of his soul. Inside the house, Merit, Imhotep's beloved wife, rises early to prepare breakfast for the family. She wears a pale blue linen dress, a shawl draped over her shoulders, her long black hair tied back with a green cloth, and her warm brown eyes always glowing with kindness. She stands by a small clay oven, baking barley bread, its aroma filling the house, mingling with the scent of lotus flowers from the garden outside. On a small wooden table, she sets out a plate of sweet dates, a bowl of soft goat cheese, and a jug of Nile water, cool and clear. Ankh, their 8-year-old son, often runs into the kitchen, his bare feet leaving small prints on the earthen floor. He has his father's face, with bright eyes and a mischievous smile, and he always wears a short linen tunic, revealing his sun-bronzed shoulders from playing outside. "Mother, can I go fishing today?" Ankh asks, his voice full of excitement. Merit smiles, ruffling his hair, and says, "Of course, but be careful, and don't go too far from the riverbank." Ankh nods, dashing out of the house, clutching a small net his father made for him, and he races to the river, his eyes shining with joy as he spots tiny fish swimming in the clear water. Nefert, their 5-year-old daughter, prefers to sit by her mother, playing with strips of linen and singing songs Merit taught her. She has large, round eyes with long lashes, and her glossy black hair is tied back with a red ribbon. Her voice is as clear as a little bell, and Merit often sings along, the mother and daughter creating a gentle melody, like a lullaby. One morning, as Nefert plays with a piece of cloth, she asks her mother, "Mother, is father the wisest man in Egypt?" Merit smiles softly, pulling her daughter into her lap, and says, "Perhaps, my love. Your father is blessed by the gods, but most importantly, he has a warm heart, and he loves us dearly." Imhotep steps into the house after finishing his writing. Sitting at the table, his gaze tender as he looks at his family. He breaks a piece of barley bread, dips it in the goat cheese, and eats slowly, savoring the simple yet warm flavors of breakfast. He watches Ankh, who recounts a story about a big fish he almost caught, and Imhotep smiles, saying, "My son, one day you'll catch the biggest fish in the Nile, but you must be patient." Ankh nods, his eyes shining with belief, and says, "I'll be patient, father, just like you were with the pyramid." After breakfast, Imhotep often spends time playing with his children before heading to the palace or worksite. He takes Ankh and Nefert to the small garden, where he planted a large pomegranate tree, its ripe red fruit hanging from the branches. He picks a pomegranate, splits it open, and hands it to the children, the ruby-red seeds glistening in the sunlight, sweet and juicy. Nefert giggles as the juice stains her hands, and Ankh tries to eat quickly, letting the juice drip down his chin. Imhotep laughs heartily, wiping their faces, and says, "You two are my greatest treasures, more precious than the pyramid or any monument." In the evenings, as the sun sets, Imhotep often sits by the Nile with his family, watching the Water reflects the golden sunset. He takes a small papyrus scroll and reads stories to his children about the gods, about Ra, who sails his solar boat across the sky, about Osiris, who rules the underworld, and about Thoth, the god of wisdom, who taught humans to write and measure. Ankh and Nefert sit close to their father, their eyes wide with wonder, and they ask, "Father, have you ever met the gods?" Imhotep smiles, looking up at the sky where the stars begin to twinkle, and says, "I haven't met them, but I feel them in every stone I place, in every poem I write, and in every smile I see on your faces." Imhotep also teaches his children about the stars, showing them how to recognize the constellation of Isis and how to tell time by the moon's position. He says to Ankh, "One day, you'll learn to navigate by the stars, as I did when building the pyramid." He turns to Nefert and says, "And you, my love, will sing songs to the gods, so they bless this land." The children nod, their eyes filled with pride, and they hug their father, feeling the deep love he has for them. Merit, standing nearby, looks at Imhotep with eyes full of love. She knows he carries great burdens, the projects, the prophecies, and the secrets he keeps. But when he's with his family, Imhotep is always a husband and father with a warm heart and a gentle smile. One evening, after the children have fallen asleep, Merit sits beside Imhotep on the riverbank, the moonlight illuminating her face. She takes his hand and says, "You work too hard, Imhotep. Have you ever thought of resting?" Imhotep looks at her, his gaze tender, and says, "When I'm with you and the children, I am resting, Merit. My family is where I find peace, amidst my dreams and duties." Imhotep also spends time helping the people of Memphis, healing the poor and teaching them better farming techniques. One afternoon, he visits a small village near Memphis, where a farmer named Senenmut is worried about his drought-stricken field. Imhotep sits by the field, examining the soil, and says, "Senenmut, we need to dig a small canal from the Nile to bring water to your field." He guides the farmer in digging the canal, and after a few days, water flows into the field, reviving the dry earth. Senenmut, his eyes filled with gratitude, bows to Imhotep and says, "You're not just an architect, you're a living god, Lord Imhotep." Imhotep's actions make him beloved by the people of Memphis, who often bring him small gifts, a basket of dates, a jar of honey, or a bundle of lotus flowers, as a token of thanks. Imhotep always accepts the gifts with a smile, saying, "I am not a god, I am just a man who wishes to help." But in his heart, he knows his mission is not only to build and heal. He also carries a great secret, a secret tied to the amulet he created. Imhotep is not only an architect or a physician. He is also a man who can see things others cannot. Through prophetic dreams he receives from Ptah. These dreams often come to him on quiet nights, when the full moon lights the sky, and the sound of the Nile's flowing water hums like a lullaby. One night, after a long day at the pyramid worksite, Imhotep returns home and sits by a small altar in his private chamber. He burns a bit of myrrh, letting its sweet fragrance fill the room, and prays to Ptah, asking for clarity to fulfill his mission. As he drifts into sleep, a strange dream comes to him. In the dream, he stands atop the step pyramid, the sunlight bathing Saqqara in a golden glow, making everything shimmer like gold. He looks down and sees a great flood sweeping across the land, submerging fields and villages, but it's not the Nile's water. It's a black flood, as if darkness has turned to liquid. He hears a deep voice, as if rising from the earth. "Imhotep, chosen one, protect the light of Ptah, for darkness approaches. Your amulet will be a lamp in the night, but only the pure of heart can touch it." He looks at his hands and sees the amulet glowing with a blue light, but the light fades, and he feels a strange fear, as if the darkness is swallowing everything. Imhotep jolts awake, sweat dripping down his forehead, his heart pounding. He knows this dream is more than a dream. It's a prophecy from Ptah, a warning of an approaching danger. He rises, stepping out into the courtyard, and looks up at the sky, where the full moon casts its light on the ground. He whispers, "Ptah, please guide me, so I may protect this land." He returns to the altar, holding the amulet in his hands, feeling a warm energy radiating from it, as if Ta is comforting him, granting him strength to face what lies ahead. From then on, Imhotep pays closer attention to the signs around him. He observes the Nile's flood seasons, noting every small change, and realizes a great flood is coming, one that could cause severe damage. He goes to the palace, meets Pharaoh Djoser, and says, "My lord, Ta has sent me a dream. A great flood is coming, and we must prepare to protect the people." Djoser, trusting Imhotep's wisdom, orders his officials to build small dams along the Nile and dig additional canals to divert excess water from the fields. Thanks to this preparation, when the flood arrives, the damage is minimized, and the people of Egypt praise Imhotep as the one who saved their land. But Imhotep's dreams are not only about floods. He begins to have other dreams, visions of Egypt's future, of pharaohs yet to come, and of dangers the land will face. One night, he dreams of a man in a red robe, with a harsh face and ambitious eyes, trying to break open the stone door leading to the secret chamber where the amulet is kept. He hears the roar of Horus and sees the man dissolve into dust, his soul imprisoned in the desert. Imhotep wakes, knowing the amulet's curse is real. Horus will protect it, but he also senses the amulet will attract the greedy, and he must find a way to safeguard it better. Imhotep decides to record his dreams, creating a special papyrus scroll where he writes secret symbols only he and Kamwasit can understand. He records his prophecies, warnings, and instructions on how to protect the amulet. He hides this scroll in another secret chamber within the pyramid, hoping that one day it will be found by someone worthy. He says to Kamwasit, "This scroll is the key to understanding the amulet, but you must only open it when the time comes. Trust your heart, and Thoth will guide you." Imhotep also uses his wisdom to help the people of Egypt in other ways. He writes medical texts, documenting the use of herbs for healing, such as using honey to treat wounds or aloe to soothe burns. He teaches the people how to build more durable homes, using mud brick mixed with straw for added strength. He also observes the stars, creating a celestial map, noting the positions of constellations, so the people can use them for navigation and timekeeping. One day, while walking through the Memphis market, Imhotep hears an elderly woman named Nefret crying by a small stall. Nefret has a face full of wrinkles, her eyes red from tears, and she clutches a newborn baby in her arms. Imhotep stops, sitting beside her, and asks, "What has happened, Nefret?" She replies, her voice trembling, "My lord Imhotep, my grandson has a high fever, and I don't know what to do. I have no money for medicine, and I fear he won't survive." Imhotep places a hand on her shoulder, his gaze gentle, and says, "Don't worry, I will help you." He leads Nefret and the baby to his home, where he has a small room filled with herbs and medical tools. He takes some dried mint leaves, grinds them into a powder, and mixes them with honey, creating a thick paste. He applies the paste to the baby's forehead and gives the child a little willow bark mixed with water to reduce the fever. He sits by the baby for hours, wiping its brow and praying to Sekhmet, the goddess of healing, asking her to bless the child. By morning, the baby's fever subsides, and it begins to smile, reaching out to hug Nefret. She kneels before Imhotep, tears streaming down her cheeks, and says, "You are a god, Lord Imhotep. I will be forever grateful." Imhotep lifts her up and says, "I am not a god, just a man who wishes to help. Take good care of the child, and pray to Sekhmet every day." Such acts make Imhotep a symbol of compassion and wisdom in the hearts of the Egyptian people. But deep within, he carries a secret worry, the fear that the amulet, with its power, will attract the greedy, and that the curse of Horus will bring tragedy. He knows his mission is not only to build and heal, but also to protect the secret he created, a secret he believes will shape Egypt's future. Many years pass, and Imhotep grows old. He is no longer as tall as he once was, his back slightly hunched, and his shaved head now replaced by wrinkles on his forehead. Yet his eyes still shine with wisdom, and his voice still carries the power of persuasion. He completes many other projects after the step pyramid, such as small temples dedicated to Ta and irrigation canals that help the people farm more efficiently. He also writes hundreds of papyrus scrolls, documenting his knowledge of medicine, astronomy, and architecture, leaving a priceless legacy of wisdom for future generations. One afternoon, as the sun sets over Saqqara, Imhotep sits on a large stone near the pyramid, gazing at the horizon. He feels that his time in this world is drawing to a close, and he knows he must prepare for his journey to the afterlife. He calls Kamwasit to him and speaks in a low voice. Kamwasit, I have lived a long life, and I have done all I can to serve Egypt and the gods. But I know I will soon leave this world. You must continue my mission, protect the amulet, and safeguard the secrets I have entrusted to you. Kamwasit bows, tears streaming down his cheeks, and says, Master, I will do everything to protect your legacy, but I don't want to lose you. Imhotep smiles, placing a hand on his student's shoulder, and says, Don't be sad, Kamwasit. I will not truly leave. My spirit will remain, beside the pyramid, beside the gods. Remember, the true power lies not in the amulet, but in your heart and in your faith in the gods. A few days later, Imhotep passes away in his small home by the Nile, in the arms of Merit and his children. He departs peacefully, a smile on his lips, as if he knows he has fulfilled his purpose. News of Imhotep's death spreads across Egypt, and people from all over come to Memphis to honor him. They bring lotus flowers, jars of fragrant oil, and hymns to send him to the afterlife. Pharaoh Djoser orders a grand funeral, declaring, Imhotep was not only my vizier, but the light of Egypt. His name will live forever, like the pyramid he built. The people of Egypt begin to venerate Imhotep as a god, building small temples to worship him. They call him Imhotep, bearer of Ta's light, and pray to him for wisdom, healing, and protection. A small temple is built near the step pyramid, with a limestone statue of Imhotep, depicting him seated on a chair, holding a papyrus scroll, his gaze fixed on the horizon, as if watching over the land he devoted his life to serving. Kamwasit, now a high priest, continues Imhotep's mission with a heart full of devotion. Each morning, as the first light of dawn kisses the limestone steps of the step pyramid in Saqqara, he makes his way to the sacred site, the golden rays, casting a shimmering glow across the stone, making it sparkle like a field of precious gems. He walks with a steady, reverent pace, his white linen robe fluttering gently in the early breeze, a staff in his hand to support his steps on the uneven ground. His black hair, shaved clean in the tradition of priests, is adorned with a simple, white band, a small turquoise stone at its center catching the light like a tiny star. In the stillness of the dawn, the only sounds are the soft rustling of palm fronds and the distant calls of ibis birds greeting the new day. He enters the secret chamber deep within the pyramid, a hidden sanctuary known only to him. The air inside is cool and heavy with the scent of ancient stone, the walls carved with faded images of Horus and Ta, their stern gazes seeming to watch over the sacred space. In the center of the chamber, on a small stone altar, rests the limestone box that holds Imhotep's amulet. Kamwasit kneels before it, his hands trembling slightly as he touches the cool stone, feeling a faint pulse of energy emanating from within, as if the amulet itself is alive with the power of the gods. He closes his eyes, his lips moving in a silent prayer to Horus. O great Horus, protector of the sacred, guard this artifact, shield it from those who would misuse its power, and guide me on the path my master Imhotep has set before me. After his prayers, Kamwasit takes the papyrus scroll Imhotep left him, carefully unrolling it on the altar. The scroll is brittle with age, its edges frayed, but the ink remains sharp, the secret symbols Imhotep inscribed glowing faintly in the dim light of the oil lamp he carries. Kamwasit studies the symbols, his brow furrowed in concentration, tracing each line with a reverent finger. He knows these symbols hold the key to understanding the amulet's true purpose, but their meaning eludes him still. He whispers to himself, Master, your wisdom is vast, and I am but a humble student. Grant me the clarity to understand your vision. He spends hours in the chamber, lost in thought, the silence broken only by the soft drip of water echoing. Somewhere deep within the pyramid point one day, whispers begin to spread through the villages and markets of Egypt, carried on the lips of traders and farmers, priests and laborers. The people speak in hushed tones of an artifact left behind by the great Imhotep, a sacred object said to be imbued with the power of the gods themselves. They say that whoever possesses this artifact will gain wisdom beyond mortal limits, becoming the wisest soul in all the world. The rumor grows, weaving through the bustling streets of Memphis, across the fertile fields of the Nile Delta, and up the river to the distant lands of Upper Egypt, until it reaches the ears of a man named Reckmeyer. Reckmeyer is a man consumed by ambition, a treasure hunter with a harsh face and eyes as cold as the desert night. He was once a low-ranking official in the pharaoh's court, but his insatiable greed led him to abandon his post, turning instead to a life of hunting for ancient riches. He dresses in a crimson robe, the color of blood, a stark contrast to the white linens worn by most Egyptians, and he carries a staff carved with the image of a serpent, a symbol of power and deceit. Reckmeyer believes that if he can possess Imhotep's amulet, he will gain the wisdom to challenge the pharaohs themselves, rising to become the ruler of all Egypt. The thought consumes him, fueling his every step as he gathers a group of men to aid in his quest. His band includes treasure hunters hardened by years of scouring the desert for buried riches, thieves with quick hands and quicker tempers, and a disgraced priest named Menkaure, who once served in the temple of Ammonius but was expelled for corruption. Menkaure is a short man with a scarred face, his shifty eyes always darting about, as if searching for the next opportunity to betray someone for his own gain. He speaks to Reckmeyer in a low, rasping voice. "I've heard of Imhotep's amulet, and I know it's kept in the step pyramid at Saqqara. But we must be careful. The legend says it carries a curse." Reckmeyer sneers, his cold eyes narrowing, and replies, "Curses are just tales to scare the weak. I will take the amulet, and no god can stop me." On a moonless night, as a thick blanket of darkness cloaks Saqqara, Reckmeyer and his group sneak into the pyramid complex. The desert is silent save for the occasional howl of a jackal in the distance, and the air is heavy with the scent of dry sand and ancient stone. They carry flickering torches, their flames casting eerie shadows on the limestone walls, and heavy picks, their metal heads gleaming with menace. The men move stealthily, their footsteps muffled by the sand, their eyes darting about for any sign of guards or priests who might stand in their way. After hours of searching, they discover a narrow passage leading deep into the heart of the pyramid. The passage is barely wide enough for a man to pass through, its walls carved with faded images of Horus and Ptah, their stern faces illuminated by the torchlight, as if warning the intruders to turn back. But Reckmeyer presses on, his greed driving him forward, his men following reluctantly, their whispers of unease growing louder with each step. Finally, they reach a limestone door, its surface smooth and unyielding, a scarab-shaped lock gleaming in the center, just as Kamwasit had described in his guarded conversations. Reckmeyer orders his men to break the lock, his voice a harsh growl. In the stillness, the men hesitate, their hands trembling as they grip their picks, but Reckmeyer's glare silences their doubts. They strike the lock with their tools, the sound of metal on stone echoing through the passage, each blow sending a shiver through the air. After several tense minutes, the lock shatters, and the door creaks open, revealing the small chamber. Within, in the center of the room, on a stone altar, sits the limestone box, its surface etched with protective symbols. Reckmeyer steps forward, his breath quickening, and opens the box. Inside lies Imhotep's amulet, its golden surface gleaming in the torchlight, the turquoise gem at its center glowing with an eerie, otherworldly light. Reckmeyer's eyes gleam with greed as he reaches for the amulet, his fingers trembling with anticipation. But the moment he touches it, a blinding light erupts from the gem, filling the chamber with a searing brilliance that forces the men to shield their eyes. A deafening roar echoes through the pyramid, as if Horus himself has descended from the heavens, his wrath unleashed upon the intruder. Before the horrified eyes of his group, Reckmeyer's body begins to tremble violently, his screams of agony reverberating off the stone walls. A beam of blue light shoots from the amulet, piercing his heart, and he collapses to the ground, his body disintegrating into dust before their eyes. A strong wind sweeps through the chamber, scattering the dust into the desert beyond, leaving no trace of Reckmeyer behind. The remaining men flee in panic, their torches dropped in their haste, the flames sputtering out against the cold stone floor. They run through the narrow passage, their hearts pounding with terror, the memory of Horace's gaze searing into their minds, a gaze they feel watching them, even in their darkest dreams. They never speak of that night again, but the fear remains, a shadow that haunts them for the rest of their days. Kamwasit, upon hearing of the intrusion from a trembling worker who witnessed the men's approach, rushes to the pyramid under the cover of night. The desert air is cool against his skin, the stars above twinkling like silent witnesses to the events unfolding below. He enters the secret chamber, his heart heavy with dread, and sees that the amulet is still there, resting in its limestone box. But the turquoise gem's light has dimmed, as if it has used its power to protect itself from Reckmeyer's greed. Kamwasit kneels before the altar, his hands trembling as he touches the box, feeling the lingering energy of the amulet, now subdued but still potent. He closes his eyes, praying to Horus with a voice thick with emotion. "O great Horus, protector of the sacred, thank you for guarding this artifact. Continue to shield it from those who would misuse its power, and guide me on the path of my master Imhotep." He takes Imhotep's papyrus scroll from its hiding place, carefully unrolling it on the altar, and begins to study the secret symbols once more. The symbols seem to shimmer faintly in the dim light, as if whispering their secrets to him, but their meaning remains elusive. Kamwasit spends the rest of the night in the chamber, his mind racing with thoughts of the amulet's power and the curse that protects it. He knows he must find a safer place for it, a place where the greedy cannot reach. In the years that follow, Kamwasit remains vigilant, guarding the amulet with unwavering dedication. But he also begins to have prophetic dreams of his own, visions that come to him in the stillness of the night, when the moon casts its silvery glow over the land. One night, he dreams of a woman in a white robe, her long black hair flowing like a river of midnight, her eyes bright as the moon itself. She stands before him, her presence radiant and serene, and speaks in a voice that echoes with divine power. "Kamwasit, guardian of the light, take the amulet to the land of Ammonius, where it will be safe." He wakes with a start, his heart pounding, knowing the woman is Isis, the goddess of protection and magic. Her words linger in his mind, a clear directive he cannot ignore. Kamwasit decides to take the amulet to Thebes, where the temple of Ammonius stands tall, a bastion of divine power and protection. He prepares for the journey with care, wrapping the amulet in a soft linen cloth and placing it in a small bag he wears close to his chest, where he can feel its power with each beat of his heart. He sets out at dawn, the first light of the sun casting long shadows across the desert, the air cool and crisp with the promise of a new day. The journey is long and arduous, stretching across miles of scorching desert and small villages along the Nile, but Kamwasit presses on, driven by the divine command he received. Under the blazing sun, the golden sand stretches endlessly before him, reflecting a blinding light that stings his eyes. Kamwasit wears a white linen robe, a cloth wrapped around his head to shield him from the sun, and he grips a wooden staff to support him on the rough terrain. The heat is relentless, the air shimmering with waves of heat that distort the horizon. But he keeps his focus, his thoughts on the amulet and the sacred duty he carries. Each step brings him closer to Thebes, but the journey tests his endurance, his sandals sinking into the soft sand, his throat parched despite the small waterskin he carries. During his journey, he stops at a small village near Abydos, a cluster of mud brick homes nestled along the Nile, where the air is filled with the scent of freshly baked bread and the sound of children playing by the river. Here, he meets a young woman named Neset, who is caring for a sick child. Neset has a kind face with large, round brown eyes, and she is trying to soothe her child's fever with cool Nile water. The child, a 3-year-old boy named Hori, lies on a reed mat, his face flushed and his breathing weak, his small body trembling with fever. Neset looks at Kamwasit with desperate eyes, her voice breaking as she speaks. "Sir, my son has had a fever for 3 days, and I don't know what to do. Please, can you help us?" Kamwasit pauses, his gaze gentle, and says, "Don't worry, I will help you." He kneels beside the child, his movements slow and deliberate, and takes some herbs from his bag, a bit of dried mint and willow bark powder, remedies Imhotep taught him to use. He grinds the mint leaves with a small stone, mixing them with honey Neset has in the house, creating a thick paste that smells faintly of mint and sweetness. He applies the paste to Hori's forehead, the coolness of the mixture bringing a slight relief to the boy's fevered skin. He also mixes the willow bark with water, giving the child small sips, the bitter taste making Hori grimace. But Kamwasit soothes him with a gentle hand, whispering words of comfort as he works. Kamwasit prays to Sekhmet, the goddess of healing. His voice a soft murmur in the small mud brick home. "O Sekhmet, Lady of Healing, bring your mercy upon this child. Let your power flow through him, easing his fever and restoring his strength." Neset stands nearby, her eyes full of hope, her trembling hands clutching Kamwasit's arm as she whispers, "Thank you, sir. You're a priest, aren't you?" Kamwasit smiles warmly and says, "I am Kamwasit, a student of Imhotep. My master taught me how to heal, and I am only following what he passed down." He stays in the village for another day, tending to Hori with care, ensuring the boy's fever subsides. By the next morning, Hori's fever has broken, and he begins to laugh and play again, his small hands reaching for his mother with a bright smile. Neset, her eyes filled with gratitude, gives Kamwasit a bundle of fresh lotus flowers she picked from the riverbank, their delicate petals glistening with morning dew. She says, "May the gods always protect you, Lord Kamwasit." He bows in thanks, his heart warmed by Neset's kindness and Hori's recovery, and continues his journey, the scent of lotus flowers lingering in the air as he walks. After many days of travel, Kamwasit finally reaches Thebes, where the temple of Ammonius stands tall amidst the lush green land, its towering stone columns carved with images of Ammonius and other gods. The Nile River flows through Thebes, its waters reflecting the sunlight, creating shimmering patterns like scattered jewels across the surface. Kamwasit enters the temple, his eyes reverent as he gazes upon the massive statue of Ammonius, with a double crown adorned with 2 tall feathers, his hands holding a scepter and an ankh, as if blessing the land with eternal protection. The air inside the temple is cool and fragrant with the scent of burning incense, the sound of priests chanting hymns to Ammonius echoing softly through the halls. Kamwasit kneels before the altar, his hands clasped in prayer, and speaks in a voice filled with devotion. "O Ammonius, god of strength and protection, I bring to you a sacred artifact, a creation of Imhotep, blessed by Ta. Please keep this artifact safe, so it does not fall into the hands of the greedy, and let its power remain pure." He rises and seeks out a secret chamber deep within the temple, a place known only to the highest priests. The chamber is hidden behind a heavy stone wall, its entrance sealed with a small door locked by a falcon-shaped lock, the symbol of Ammonius' watchful protection. Kamwasit places the amulet in a new limestone box, carving protective prayers onto its surface with a steady hand, the symbols glowing faintly as if imbued with divine energy. He hides the box in a stone niche in the wall, sealing it with a final prayer, and steps back, feeling a deep sense of peace wash over him, as if Ammonius has accepted his plea and agreed to guard the amulet. But Kamwasit doesn't stop there. He decides to document his journey, knowing that the amulet's history must be preserved for those who come after him. He writes another papyrus scroll, detailing the amulet's origins, the curse of Horus, and the prophetic dreams he received. From Isis, he describes the events at Saqqara, the fate of Rekhmire, and his journey to Thebes, his words careful and precise, each stroke of his reed pen a testament to his devotion. He hides this scroll in a small temple near Abydos, a modest structure dedicated to Osiris, believing it will be safe there. On the scroll, he writes, Imhotep's amulet is the light of Ta, but also the burden of those who protect it. Only those with a pure heart can understand its power, and only Ammonius can keep it safe. The amulet, with its power and curse, continues its journey through the generations, from the Old Kingdom to the New Kingdom, and even into the era of ancient Greece. After Kamwasit's death, the amulet is passed down to other priests, each with their own story, but all drawn into its mystery, their lives forever changed by the responsibility of guarding in the New Kingdom around 1200 BC. During the reign of Ramses II, the amulet is guarded by a priest named Amenhotep, who serves in the Temple of Karnak in Thebes. Amenhotep is a tall man with a stern face and deep, thoughtful eyes, always dressed in a pristine white linen robe, a pectoral engraved with Ammonius' image resting across his chest. He has heard the stories of Imhotep from previous priests, tales passed down through generations, and he knows the amulet carries a curse, a divine protection woven into its very essence. One night, as he kneels in prayer before the great statue of Ammonius, the air heavy with the scent of myrrh and the sound of distant chants, he hears a strange whisper, as if Ammonius himself is speaking to him. Amenhotep, protect Imhotep's light, for darkness is returning. Amenhotep takes the warning to heart, deciding to hide the amulet in a secret chamber deep within the Temple of Karnak, a place accessible only to the highest priests. The chamber is a small, dimly lit room, its walls carved with protective symbols, the air thick with the weight of divine presence. He places the amulet in a new box, this one made of polished basalt, its surface engraved with prayers to Ammonius, and seals it within a hidden alcove, believing it will be safe there. But rumors about the amulet continue to spread, carried by traders and pilgrims who visit the temple, their whispers growing louder with each passing day. A group of treasure hunters, led by a man named Seti, hears the rumors and sneaks into the temple under the cover of night. Seti is a ruthless man with a scarred face and cold, calculating eyes, always carrying a sharp sword at his side, its blade stained with the blood of those who crossed him. He believes the amulet will give him the power to overthrow the court of Ramses II, and he is willing to do anything to obtain it. His group moves silently through the temple, their torches casting flickering shadows on the stone columns, their footsteps muffled by the thick rugs that line the halls. That night, as faint moonlight filters through the stone columns of Karnak, Seti and his group break through the door to the secret chamber. The door is heavy, its surface carved with images of Ammonius and Horus, but Seti's men use crude tools to pry it open, the sound of splintering stone echoing through the silent temple. They find the amulet inside, glowing in the dim light, its turquoise gem pulsing with an otherworldly energy. Seti reaches for it, his eyes full of greed, his fingers trembling with anticipation. But the moment he touches it, a blinding light erupts, and a roar echoes through the chamber, as if Horus has descended in a fury of divine wrath. Seti screams in agony, his body turning to dust before the horrified eyes of his men, the wind sweeping the dust away into the night. The others flee, their hearts pounding with terror, the memory of Horus's gaze haunting them for the rest of their lives. Amenhotep, upon discovering the intrusion the next morning, decides to take the amulet to a safer place. He brings it to a small temple in Luxor, a modest structure dedicated to Hathor, and hides it in another secret chamber, its entrance sealed with a stone slab engraved with protective symbols. He carves a warning on a stone outside the chamber. Whoever covets the light of Ta, prepare to face the wrath of Horus. He prays to Hathor, asking her to shield the amulet with her divine love, and leaves the temple, hoping the curse will not strike again. The amulet continues its journey through the centuries, from ancient Egypt to the era of ancient Greece. Around 300 BCE, during the reign of Ptolemy II, the amulet is discovered by a Greek merchant named Ariston in a small market in Alexandria. Ariston is a tall man with blonde hair and blue eyes, always dressed in a white Greek robe with red trim. His laughter loud and boisterous as he haggles with traders in the bustling market. He doesn't know about the curse, but senses the amulet's great value. Its golden surface and glowing turquoise gem catching his eye among the piles of pottery and trinkets. He plans to sell it to a wealthy noble in Athens, imagining the riches it will bring him. But before Ariston can leave Alexandria, he begins having strange dreams, seeing a man in a white robe with glowing eyes, who speaks in a voice that echoes with ancient power. Return the light of Ta, or you will never find peace. Ariston wakes each night, sweat dripping down his forehead, the man's words haunting him. After the third night of such dreams, he decides not to sell the amulet, fearing the curse he senses lurking within it. He takes it to a small temple in Alexandria, dedicated to Serapis, a god blending Egyptian and Greek beliefs, and gives it to a priest, hoping the curse will not follow him. The priest, an elderly man named Ptolemaeus, accepts the amulet with reverence, his hands trembling as he feels its power. He has heard stories of Imhotep from Egyptian merchants and knows the amulet holds great significance. He hides it in a secret chamber within the temple and prays to Serapis, asking him to protect the artifact. But over the centuries, the temple in Alexandria is destroyed in wars, and the amulet is forgotten, buried beneath layers of sand and dust. Thousands of years later, in modern times, archaeologists from around the world flock to Saqqara, bringing sophisticated tools to explore Djoser's step pyramid. It is May 20th, 2025, and the desert air is warm, the sun high in the sky as a team led by Dr. Aisha Hassan from the University of Cairo sets out to learn more about Imhotep and the secrets he left behind. Dr. Aisha is a tall, slender woman with long black hair tied back in a practical braid, her sharp eyes scanning the landscape with a mix of curiosity and determination. She wears a white shirt, its sleeves rolled up to her elbows, and a straw hat to shield her from the sun, her notebook filled with sketches and notes about the pyramid's history that lie in a small chamber within the pyramid complex. Dr. Aisha's team discovers a relief carving of Imhotep, his hands raised as if offering a gift to the gods, his expression serene and wise. The carving is weathered but still detailed, the lines of Imhotep's robe and the scroll in his hand clearly visible. Beneath the relief, they find an ancient papyrus fragment, its edges crumbling but the ink still legible, inscribed with text about a Ta's amulet. Dr. Aisha reads the words aloud, her voice trembling with excitement. Imhotep's amulet, the light of Ta, is kept in darkness, awaiting only the pure of heart. The words send a shiver down her spine, her mind racing with the possibilities of what this amulet might be. But there is no trace of the amulet in the chamber, only the faint echo of its legend. One evening, as the sun sets over Saqqara, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, Dr. Aisha brushes dust from a stone wall. In another chamber, her fingers tracing the faint outline of a symbol, the Eye of Horus, its shape unmistakable. A chill runs down her spine, as if Imhotep is still watching, guarding his secret from beyond the grave. That night, she has a strange dream, seeing a man in a white robe with glowing eyes, his presence both comforting and commanding. He speaks to her in a voice that resonates with ancient wisdom. Aisha, seeker of the light, let my secret rest. The amulet is not for this world. She wakes with a start, her heart pounding, the man's words echoing in her mind. She sits up in her tent, the cool night air seeping through the canvas, and decides to halt the search for the amulet. Fearing the curse she senses lurking in its legend that in modern Egypt, folk tales continue to be told, passed down through generations. Like precious heirlooms. In a small village near Saqqara, people gather around a fire at night, the flames illuminating their faces with a warm, flickering glow. The air is filled with the scent of burning wood and the sound of crickets chirping. In the distance, a gentle backdrop to the storytelling. An old man with a long white beard and wise eyes tells the children about Imhotep's ghost. His voice is low and soothing, each word weaving a spell of wonder around his young listeners. He says that on full moon nights, if you stand near, Djoser's Pyramid, you'll see a figure in a white robe, holding a papyrus scroll, walking among the pyramid's steps. He says it's Imhotep's spirit, still searching for those worthy of his amulet's secret. The children, their eyes wide with wonder, listen to the old man's tale, their imaginations alight with visions of the ancient architect. A little girl with long black hair, her eyes sparkling with curiosity, takes her brother's hand and whispers, "Brother, tonight's a full moon. Let's go to the pyramid and see if Imhotep's ghost is real." The boy, a few years older, nods, his own eyes shining with excitement, and the siblings hold hands, stepping out into the silvery moonlight. The village is quiet. The only sounds the soft rustling of palm fronds and the distant howl of a jackal. As they make their way to the pyramid, their small figures dwarfed by its towering presence. They stand near the pyramid, the cool night breeze ruffling their hair, the moonlight casting long shadows across the sand. They look up at the steps, hoping to see Imhotep's figure, their hearts pounding with a mix of fear and anticipation. But there is only the moonlight on the limestone, the ancient stones glowing softly in the silvery glow, and the sound of the desert wind, like a gentle lullaby whispering through the night. Though they see no ghost, they smile, feeling the magic of the story woven into the very air around them, and return home, their dreams filled with images of the pyramid, the gods, and a man who bore the light of pity as the sun sets over ancient Egypt, casting a golden glow across the Nile River. Imhotep stands on the highest step of Djoser's pyramid, his hand touching a cool limestone block, his gaze fixed on the horizon where Ra sinks into slumber. The sound of the Nile's rippling water fills the air, a gentle lullaby echoing through the land, while stars begin to twinkle in the night sky, their light reflecting on the water like jewels scattered across a velvet cloth. Whether Imhotep's amulet truly exists or is merely a legend, his story reminds us of the power of human wisdom and the connection to the spiritual world. Let the sound of flowing water, the desert wind, and the gentle light of ancient Egypt lull you into sleep. Dream of a step pyramid reaching for the sky, where gods whisper secrets, and a man named Imhotep leaves an enduring legacy. Wishing you a peaceful night, with dreams of ancient Egypt, where the sands of time forever hold its secrets.